While everyone in Philadelphia is reacting to the latest offensive coordinator news today, Adam Schefter went on The Fanatic this morning and dropped a huge bomb, hinting at a major announcement happening next week that could be one of many things. Plus, while the New York Jets just gifted a way out for Howie and Sirianni, and the former backup quarterback the Eagles like so much they actually met with him twice. I'm Thomas Mott, this is the Thomas Mott Show. Alright, well, if you're like me and wondering every single day why the Eagles still don't have an offensive coordinator hired, while names linked to the Birds keep flying off the shelves like milk and bread during last week's winter storm, well, I think yesterday we finally learned why. As the loss of Brian Daboll to Tennessee has sent the Birds back to the drawing board, but the two new names that have now popped up are honestly, in my opinion, way better than some of the other reported options. Still though, that's not the big news this morning because Adam Schefter dropped a massive bomb on The Fanatic that should have all of us, I think, very worried. First, though, I did hear from the original winner of the Jordan Spector Art Philly art piece, was giving that away last week, so it's been claimed, but I have this bad boy right here, a second Devontae Smith Immortal Moments card from Jordan Spector. It's completely unopened, so if this video gets to 70,000 views, I'll pick a winner down below who likes this video. And why don't you comment your top OC candidate right now after losing Brian Daboll, and again, winner announced in the next show if we hit 70,000 views. Now, I really wanted to start with the latest offensive coordinator news this morning because that's obviously what everybody's talking about. But then Adam Schefter, of all people, went on 97.5 The Fanatic this morning, and as this segment was wrapping up, he gave everybody a massive hint that something big, not OC related, is coming next week.
We appreciate the time, man, and we'll talk to you next week. Maybe reacting to an OC hired in Philadelphia. Maybe the smoke will come out of NovaCare. We'll find out soon.
And maybe it'll be even more than that by next week.
Yeah. Will A.J. Brown be traded?
More than that.
We didn't ask you this week.
More than that. What are you hinting at?
Maybe there'll be even more than discussion than an offensive coordinator. We'll see.
All right.
See what happens here the next week.
I'm liking this.
Antennas are up, Shefty. Antennas are up. Thanks, man. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys.
There he is, Adam Schefter. All
right, there's the biggest thing.
Finally.
Connor, we can't run there. He just left us with the biggest thing.
First off, Adam, you had a 12-minute radio hit there, and you waited all 12 minutes long at the very end as people are finishing up the interview to drop this big giant bomb that something else is happening next week. Absolutely hate that, but it means we got to speculate, although I think I have some good options. First, a lot of people I saw immediately went to trading A.J. Brown. Oh my gosh, it's happening next week, but you can't technically do any trades till after the new league year starts in March. Well, I guess you could do one of those handshake deals under the table, make it official later. I don't think Schefter is hinting at trading A.J. Brown, especially not next week. And likewise, with trades, he's not talking about signing some new free agent because you can't sign free agents till after March. And so we have to kind of keep the ball churning here. It's not a trade, it's not a signing, so what is it? In my opinion, he's hinting at two suggestions here, either retirement or possibly an extension. With retirement, I think being the real possibility. If that's the case, there are two options, Lane Johnson or Brandon Graham. Now, sure, it could be Brandon Graham, but is that really big enough to be a massive bombshell leaked by Adam Schefter at the end of the Fanatic interview? I mean, I guess, although he did hint 2 weeks ago on his podcast that he wants to come back. We'll see if that actually materializes anything. But let's just say it is BG and he is retiring. I think the news would be reacted to like most of us Eagle fans would. All right, well, we kind of expected it. He's 38 years old. Appreciate what you did. Eagles legend. And then we'd very quickly move on. And so, no, I don't think it's Brandon Graham, which means Adam Schefter is probably hinting at Lane Johnson officially retiring from the Eagles sometime next week. I mean, this makes sense, right? The writing's kind of been on the wall, at least the past couple of months. Lane is going to be 36 in May, and he's only played 16 or more games in one season since 2016, very often injured. And then this past season, he was supposed to be out less than 4 weeks. They did not put him on IR for whatever the foot injury was, and then he missed the last 8 games of the entire year, and we never heard from him since. And if you remember, every week this season, I would come on here and be like, oh, Ian Rappaport said Lane Johnson's coming back next week. Adam Schefter said he's going to play versus the Raiders. And there was report after report after report saying he was a week away. He was going to play in the playoff game a couple of days before the playoff game, and then he never did. And we never heard anything. And the Eagles just kind of ignored it and moved on. And so it's very likely that either he's been wanting to retire for a while and the foot injury has now been too much to overcome and he wants to officially hang it up, or he was away for 8 weeks and decided, yeah, this feels right. It's time to go ahead and hang up the cleats. Either way, the past 8 weeks, especially with him being out, have been very odd. And so it would make sense the injury was worse and hence he wants to retire. Also, want to give a massive shout out to the sponsor of this video, Turo. Now, of course, the big game, it's a couple of weeks away. Eagles aren't in it, sadly, but I know a lot of you guys are still going to travel to San Francisco or travel anywhere around the United States. But if you're going to the big game, you have to check out Turo. Turo is literally the world's largest car sharing marketplace. Instead of dealing with those massive corporate rental companies, you can choose from an extraordinary selection of over 1,600 make and models shared by a trusted community of local hosts. You can find everything from budget-friendly commuters to high-end luxury SUVs and EVs. And booking a car in Turo is super easy. Like, for example, you just type in San Francisco International Airport, wherever you're staying, right there in the search bar. And then one of the best parts is you can choose the exact car you're going to be driving. Not just some random class like traditional rental companies. You can use filters to find the perfect ride that meets your needs. Whether you're like me, you need a car seat for your growing family, or you want an SUV with tons of room for tailgating, Turo has all your needs. Plus, when you fly in for the big game, you skip the rental car counter and those ridiculously long lines. And yes, it's not just Philadelphia or San Francisco. Turo is available in over 140 different airports in the United States and Canada. So all you do is get off the plane, and then you have clear instructions on where your car is parked right in the Turo app. And depending on what airport you're at, you'll pick up your car at a designated parking lot, garage, or even curbside. You can even have your car delivered right to your hotel or where you're staying to make things even faster and more efficient. So if you're traveling around the United States or going to the big game anytime soon, check out Turo for your rental car needs. Scan the QR code over here on my screen, somewhere right down there, or link down below in my description box. Check out Turo. I think you're going to love them. And I'll just be clear here. I hope I'm wrong. I'm praying I'm wrong, honestly, because Lane has been the best right tackle in the league basically my entire lifetime. The guy is absolutely unbelievable. And Philadelphia already has quite a few holes this offseason to fill. And then adding in, you must replace Lane Johnson at the right tackle spot. That would be less than ideal. There is another option, though, and that would be an extension for, I guess, Jalen Carter or Jordan Davis. If you go back a couple of weeks, The Athletic did report that extending Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis was, quote, at the top of the priorities heading into the offseason. So getting these done before technically free agency in March would be a nice way to not only lock these guys up long term, but also spend some of the cap down the road and give Philadelphia a little bit more spending money again this coming March. Both of these guys deserve extensions. Both would be welcome. I mean, Jordan Davis this past year was absolutely incredible, maybe better than Jalen Carter, who was hurt all season long. An extension for both would be fantastic. I don't know if it's a bombshell, though, but I would certainly welcome it. But again, it's like I said, BG retiring or extending JC or Jordan Davis, is that really a huge secret that's going to blow everybody's socks off next week? I'm not so sure. I think it's Lane, but again, let me know y'all's thoughts down below. I have seen some people, again, hint at, maybe they're going to fire Nick Sirianni next week, or maybe Vic Fangio is going to retire, or Jeff Stoutland's going to retire. I don't think any of those are happening, especially not Nick Sirianni, because they were going to fire him. It would happen weeks ago. And also, if Vic was planning on retiring, you wouldn't have let Christian Parker interview for the Cowboy DC job and take the Cowboy DC job. You would have just internally promoted him. And so, again, I think Lane is 1, BG is probably 2, and then a JD, Jalen Carter, or combination of both extension would probably be 3. Very interesting, though. To me, that was a big hint. Maybe it turns out to be nothing, but I think there's something there. Now, hints aside, and back to what we've all been focusing on the past 3 weeks now, is the Eagles' offensive coordinator search. And we'll start with the fact that, yes, by now you've seen Brian Daboll chose the Titans over the Eagles, and everybody's freaking out. And while, yes, I'm bummed, I wanted Brian Daboll, but I also wanted Mike McDaniel, I also think that both of them were probably never really going to come to Philadelphia. McDaniel wanted to be in warm weather, and as we're about to see, Daboll really wanted to be with Cam Ward. First, though, Jeff McClain did confirm last night that Daboll was never, quote, offered the Eagles position, which, maybe is true, maybe is not. We'll take Jeff's word for it. But I think the real reason was clearly Cam Ward after Jordan Schultz confirmed yesterday that Daboll's then Giants last April offered 2 first-round draft picks and multiple seconds to go from number 3 overall to number 1 overall and draft Cam Ward, clearly showing Daboll's affinity for the former Miami quarterback. And I'll take it a step further and look at it from Daboll's perspective. 1, very close with Robert Saleh, and 2, he becomes the hottest head coaching candidate. I mean, literally a man amongst boys in the National Football League. He can go to Tennessee, a historically very bad franchise, and take Cam Ward, who is kind of like Caleb Williams last year, who has a lot of talent, had a very bad rookie season. And if he turns Cam Ward into a playoff quarterback or even better, there are going to be teams lining up to offer Brian Daboll a bajillion dollars as early as next offseason to be their head coach. Whereas in Philadelphia, there's a chance his potential success could be met with the usual, it's just a super team. They have Saquon, the offensive line. Howie got him good players. It's not on Brian Daboll. It's on the actual organization. Instead of what I think it would be, and that is any OC who comes here would be the driving force in an offensive renaissance who fixed Jalen Hurts and fixed the offensive line and got the Eagles back to the Super Bowl. Either way, though, Philadelphia's got to move on. No Mike McDaniel, no Brian Daboll, no Declan Doyle, and yet now we have a brand new candidate who Philadelphia apparently liked so much they interviewed him twice the past week. And that is none other than current Packers quarterback coach Sean Mannion. Now, you might recognize the name here because he was technically a career backup in the National Football League from 2015 until 2023. And then, after retiring, became the offensive assistant in Green Bay in 2024, and then this past season already became Jordan Love's quarterback coach in 2025. which, yes, means he has 2 years of coaching experience. He's never called plays, so he's extremely green. And yet, didn't we just want another very green candidate? Declan Doyle a couple of days ago. Sean Mannion, we actually break him down. He has a lot of other real-world experience. Mannion's coaches throughout his time in the league included Sean McVay, Glenn Kubiak, Dave Canales, Kevin O'Connell, Wade Phillips, and of course, Matt LaFleur. And LaFleur, of all people, most recently raved about Mannion, saying, quote, "He's got a bright future in this profession. He attacks it the same way I knew he would as a player." With The Athletic adding later, quote, "He's going to be a head coach someday. There's a reason he went from offensive assistant to quarterback coach." And so I would argue that if you wanted Declan Doyle, which I did because he was a young, innovative offensive guy coaching under Ben Johnson, he probably learned a lot, then Mannion's the exact same way, except he actually played in the National Football League as a quarterback, a backup, but as a quarterback for almost a decade. And then, of course, was coaching under Matt LaFleur the past 2 seasons, also an offensive genius. So is he Declan Doyle? Am I as hyped as Declan Doyle was? You saw my show the past couple of weeks. No, but I do think compared to some of the other names out there, Jim Bob Cooter, Sean Mannion actually makes a lot of sense. Now, moving on, and to update you on some other names that have been floated around the past 48 hours, which includes Broncos passing game coordinator and quarterback coach Davis Webb. Also, like Mannion, a former NFL quarterback, a backup. However, I think he might stay in Denver and be their new OC because Denver just fired their OC. Davis Webb probably not coming to Philadelphia. The same goes for now free agent, I guess, former Jets offensive coordinator Tanner Engstrand, who was fired literally yesterday in the most New York Jets move of all time. Now, Engstrand was originally Ben Johnson's passing game coordinator with the Lions a couple of seasons ago, but then this past season followed Aaron Glenn to the New York Jets. And while yes, recency bias will tell you the Jets offense was atrocious in 2025, but do you actually blame the offensive coordinator for being stuck with Justin Fields all season long? I mean, before going to the Jets and stinging up this past season, he was viewed as one of these hot kind of offensive assistants who learned under Ben Johnson and was going to be a great play caller in the National Football League. Again, like Declan Doyle. However, unlike Doyle, Engstrand did call plays. He was the official offensive coordinator calling the plays in New York this past season, so he does have, at least some experience in that area. Problem is, Philadelphia has not officially offered him an interview yet, at least not that's been reported, and so Engstrand is a name I like, but I can't really get excited about until the Eagles actually bring him in officially for an interview. When it comes down to it, though, here's my best guess as it stands right now on the whole offensive coordinator situation. First off, I don't think we're going to OC hire today. I thought so earlier this week, but it's probably going to drag out maybe into next week. But my best guess, though, is the Birds have A, Matt Nagy on the back burner as their break glass in case of emergency candidate. He's a proven play caller, spent time under Andy Reid, and I think he's a much easier sell than some other names. He's not sexy, but I think he probably is their best candidate they've actually interviewed so far. I also think Jim Bob Cooter is their other finalist who I'm sure Nick Sirianni loves, the Colts connection, sure, whatever. But unlike Nagy, he is a very hard sell. I would have a very hard time selling you Jim Bob Cooter. I think most Eagle fans understand that, and the Eagles themselves probably know it too, and so Cooter is definitely lower, I think, on their list. But now we're getting new names. Davis Webb, Sean Mannion, maybe Tanner Engstrand. We'll see the next couple of days, and so, again, break glass in case of emergency, Matt Nagy. I think if right now they had to pick somebody, it would be Nagy. We'll talk about him if it does. Maybe Jim Bob Cooter, but hopefully he's way further down here. And then these kind of dark horse wildcard guys. And apparently if Sean Mannion had 2 interviews, that means they liked him. And maybe it's inexperienced, high risk, high reward Mannion with experienced, low risk, maybe low, maybe high reward Nagy. And those could be the final 2. Again, I don't know. We'll see. One thing I do know is that this tweet from Zach Berman last night is absolutely what you must finish today's show by hearing. When he said, quote, "When the Eagles hired Nick Sirianni, they started with 25 candidates. They narrowed that down to 10 for interviews. That list included multiple candidates who became head coaches elsewhere, even in that cycle. Arthur Smith, Robert Saleh, among them. Sirianni was a late addition to the interview circuit. He's one of the only 2 head coaches in that hiring cycle who still has a job today. There's more urgency with hiring the head coach because you need to fill a staff. But Jeffrey Lurie remarked to me how ridiculous it is to confine an important hire to a narrow timetable. This is not to suggest the Eagles want a prolonged search, but they're not playing a game tomorrow or next week. Urgency would be based on whether a candidate has another opportunity or if there is a pending staff changes, not the arbitrary timeline of filling the hire in X days." And so, as I said the past couple of weeks, we're in wait-and-see mode. I think Philadelphia is continuing to extend that net. They lost out on McDaniel and Daboll, their top 2 options, and now they're going to hear from everybody from Cooter to Nagy to Sean Mannion to someone else we haven't heard of yet. We're going to have to wait and see. But I do think Mannion and Nagy are the 2 names right now. If I had to guess, and again, it's just a guess, Mannion and Nagy, if they hire them, if they don't, we'll cover it here in the channel, so go ahead and subscribe. And obviously, leave your comments down below to enter the Jordan Spector Art Devontae Smith Immortal Card giveaway. It's unopened! You want this bad boy right here, drop a like. I'm Thomas Mott. This has been Thomas Mott Show.